Welcome in to the Crypto Bunker podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Kraken. We just had them end their staking service for US customers. They will still be providing it for international customers, but the SEC has come in and they've basically, this is part of the settlement that they will have with the SEC is to get rid of their staking service. Kraken will automatically unstake all US client assets except ETH, which I happen to be one of those people who are still in Kraken, but I'm not concerned about losing my ETH. It's not like an FTX situation or a Celsius situation, which the SEC didn't protect us from, but now they want to protect us from earning a yield through staking. So it's a pretty backwards world that we live in at times, but what does this mean for staking clients in the US? I mean, all staked ETH will become unstaked after the Shanghai upgrade and will continue to earn rewards until then. There are no changes to the payout structure until after the Shanghai upgrade when ETH will be unstaked. So we will still get rewards. They'll just be dropped into your spot account, and I'm guessing, or just it might just be rewards like it has always been. Yeah, and then at the end of that, you'll be able to unstake, and you'll be able to withdraw it hopefully, and get it out of there. And what I wanted to talk about today, though, is where to go and stake your ETH and why I am bullish on Rocket Pool. The token RPL, it has a lot to do with that as well. So we're going to get into that. But in terms of Rocket Pool, let's talk about Rocket Pool. We've seen a huge spike in their TVL. It's now reached 1 billion, which I honestly think is not even that much for what we're going to be talking about in how this will play out in the future. But basically what I wanted to talk about is just Rocket Pool and how it has basically, I would say, the fundamental case. We can obviously look at articles as much as we want, but let's just talk about the fundamentals here. It has a diversity of clients. Okay. So that means that different nodes that help run the chain are basically across many different countries. There is 2,075 nodes that are helping to run the Rocket Pool network, and there's 386,000 ETH staked. It might not be totally updated. It might be actually 400,000 right now. And those numbers will only increase. 400,000 Ether is only 0.003% of the total ETH supply. So there's personal stakers all over the world who are running their Rocket Pool nodes. And to run a node, you actually need the RPL token. And this is where it gets into the bull case for the RPL token, which we'll get into in a little bit. But in terms of Rocket Pool itself, it's like a marketplace of staking, basically, is what you can think of it as, in comparison to its rival Lido, who only has 24 nodes. Like I said, it's 10 times the amount of nodes basically that Lido has. So you're looking at 10x the security profile, censorship profile, things like that. And probably even more if you get into the technicals of it and the risk behind it. So there's no trust assumptions with Rocket Pool because of this. So it's really a trustless system. You're just trusting a smart contract. So you're trusting Ethereum, the network itself, which for me is a very high trust level. So there's really zero risk. And I know that sounds crazy, and none of this is advice to take. But what I'm saying is that it's in the smart contract. So Ethereum itself would have to go down because, again, it's custodied by smart contracts. It's fully insured based on those smart contracts that are on Ethereum. And so you can really think of it as definitely least risky way to stake out of any service you can think of, centralized or decentralized. The other cool thing about it is that although there is a little bit less yield than Lido, because what I think is happens with Lido is that every 24 hours they give you a little bit of ETH, and that little bit of ETH goes on top of your existing ETH, and then you kind of just get a little bit more each time they drop it to you every single day. And so that increases the yield. But basically how the R ETH token works, which is what you would want to buy if you were going to do rocket pool staking. If you're not running a node, you just want to be someone that just has staked ETH. You would want to have R ETH, and so R ETH has less yield because of accrual. It's non-rebasing. Okay, so non-rebasing token just means that it's always going to be one RETH in your wallet. So you're going to buy one RETH, and a year later, it's still going to say one RETH. But when you go to exchange that ETH, if you want to exchange RETH for ETH, it will then give you the amount of APR that you earned. So if you're earning 5% on one ETH, in a year from now, you just buy RETH today, you would be able to cash out 1.05 ETH. Now, in terms of, and I'm saying this is after the Shanghai upgrade, but before we actually go through liquid staking upgrade, it's a little bit different because there is a premium that is on this RETH token because it's more decentralized. So I would say wait till after the Shanghai upgrade, then look into RETH, and you're going to be looking at something that is non-rebasing. So it just stays as one RETH. Now, the really great thing about that also is tax implications. With Lido, it's every single day you're getting a taxable event with income. And with RETH, you're not really having to deal with that. It's basically just one RETH. It doesn't change, nothing. There's no smart contract action until you actually go and sell that RETH. So that's really what makes it great in terms of that. Also when it stays as one RETH, that means it's very integratable with like layer twos. It's very integratable with DeFi like Maker, Aave, etc. for lending purposes, lending and borrowing. So if you want to lend your RETH, it's very easy to do that on chain and borrow against it because again, it's not going to change values, so the collateral stays the same. And so like if you just think about how that can impact again layer twos, RETH can easily be put over to Arbitrum or Optimism, these other layer twos, and use their it's a little bit harder because if Lido wanted to put their stuff on another chain and you wanted to buy staked ETH, you can't really do that as easily on a layer two to actually drip these every 24-hour drips basically of Lido staked ETH because there's so many smart contract actions every 24 hours. Obviously with RETH, it just stays one ETH. So very cool. And so let's just do a little bit of math on this in terms of RPL, Rocket Pool, staked ETH, things like that. So right now, I mean, we might have about 13 to 15% of the total ETH staked. And in terms of market share, Rocket Pool has about 5% of the market share of staked ETH operations. And like I said, it has 0.003% of the total supply of ETH, which is 120 million. So, I mean, the thing is that once liquid staking goes through, there's really no reason why anyone should hold ETH instead of staked ETH, because staked ETH, once it's liquid, there's less risk. There's no risk to RETH. Now there's small risk to Lido, staked ETH, Coinbase ETH because of regulations, because they're not as decentralized. But with RETH, I do think that it will actually take I think it should take a big percentage of the total staked ETH. And some people are only saying 10%, which is just double what it is now. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't get to 30%. Because why would you stake with Lido if you can stake with Rocket Pool? You have less tax implications, you have more decentralization, you have more integratability with different DeFi protocols. You can use it on layer twos. You know, there's so many advantages of it that I've gone over. And so basically a prediction that I would recommend watching the Bankless episode of the bull case for Rocket Pool. It's very informative of what's going on here, but you actually need the RPL token itself to unlock the nodes. So to actually run these pools, you need a good amount of RPL that you're actually staking as part of your node. And this is a security thing. It's basically acts as the collateral. So if you get slashed, it actually slashes your RPL instead of your ETH. And you actually need more RPL to run a smaller node. So right now you need 16 ETH to run a node for Rocket Pool, but they're actually decreasing it and making these mini pools, which is even more bullish because people like me or others who might have 8 ETH can then go and actually run a node with just 8 ETH and like 2.4 ETH worth of Rocket Pool token. And so basically what happens is if you think that people will stake their ETH and that you think they want the most decentralized option, well, then that just increases the amount of ETH that is going to be staked with Rocket Pool, which increases the amount of RPL that needs to be bought to stake with those nodes. So basically you don't actually, I don't know if you have to for a full size node to do it, but it will increase. I think you do, but if you actually stake your RPL as well, you can unlock further ETH rewards as a node operator. So that's a good thing as well. So it aligns the incentives there. And so basically the math works out to be that Rock RPL actually is a leveraged position on yield bearing ETH. So if you believe that Ether has value because of its yield, it basically generates the fact that you would buy RPL instead of ETH because it's almost leveraged by 3 times the amount because of that extra incentive that is thrown on and in terms of people running nodes. So I know it's a little bit complicated, but again, I would recommend watching the Bankless episode. This is just me kind of explaining what I learned from that. But basically what Marceau says is he says that the ratio of RPL to ETH should actually be 0.18. And right now it's about 0.03. It's still somewhat early. I mean, obviously I did buy some today. I got in pretty late in terms of the ETH to RPL ratio. And we actually can look, if you guys want, at the chart of RPL. Because, I mean, why not, right? It's done really well. And it just feels to me like it's just completely on fundamentals. Like there's no real, like, there's not that much speculation yet because it's only a $400 million coin. And of course, like, I knew that like once I bought it, it would do this. But that's okay because again, like I said, it's a fundamental value of what you believe. It's just fundamentals. I mean, you can look at it in its all time. I mean, it's basically gone up against ETH its whole life, right? It's just trended up against ETH. And obviously it's a little bit of a blow off top there. And so, obviously, and we have a crazy looking chart here too. But I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's, if it goes back to 40, you just buy more. Um, there's, no real reason why it should ever really crash. I mean, I think if anything, ETH looks like it's going to crash. RPL could crash if ETH crashes like hard. But if you believe in ETH, long term, then, and you believe in yield bearing ETH, especially with people like, think about all the people in the US that are on Kraken, they have to go somewhere. Do you think they want to go to Coinbase now and like risk another thing that's going to happen? No. I mean, I'm going to Rocket Pool. So I don't know why anyone would not go to Rocket Pool. There's really no reason. So, this is sort of like a short-term chart here. It's not the best chart to look at, but you can buy RPL on Coinbase. So again, hopefully you guys got something out of the video. I really, just I also I love the Rocket Pool community. They're really just working towards like completely decentralizing Ethereum. And that's really the reason that we're here, is to decentralize Ethereum. And so we need to be aware of that. It's not all about money. It's about, providing decentralized financial services to people across the world. And so, Rocket Pool really helps to do that. And so they're good guys over there. I would recommend also getting into their Discord. Their trading channel is really cool and fun, and they're very welcoming. So hopefully you guys got something out of the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.